Thank you so much, Serena. Thank you. Books are magic. Hello, y'all. Wow, wow, wow. Listen. First of all, thank y'all so much for coming through. It's a Friday. You could be anywhere. And usually I'd be like, you could be anywhere, but you're here for poetry. But truly, truly, you have stepped into the right place, We are here to celebrate Desiree's debut book. So before we jump into it, just give a little clap at home. You feel me? We shouting out. Firstly, what noise against the cane? If you don't have it yet, get it quick, And we are just so excited to gather in the name of this astonishment, this incredible collection. I'm so grateful to be here with y'all tonight. I'm so grateful any day of the year, of any year I get to be blessed in to celebrate Desiree and the work that she gives us, And so I just, we gotta firstly just celebrate the thing, this week was the publishing week. And so thank y'all for being here. Shout out to the book. And tonight you'll hear some poems. So before we jump into Desiree, we have a few other readers who are gonna be getting us ready to be able to hear some poems from this incredible collection. And to start off our reading tonight, we have the incredible Charlene McClure. And so before we bring her up, for all the applause, I'm gonna go ahead and read Charlene's bio. Charlene McClure is a poet and educator. Her work has been published in Kinfolk's Quarterly, Muzzle, Poetry Project, and elsewhere. A Fulbright Scholar and a 2020 Rona Jaffe Writers Award recipient, she has received fellowships from the Callaloo Creative Writing Workshop, VONA, The Conversation, and Cave Canem. She currently resides in New York City. Y'all, these poems about to come in strong, so get ready. Please join me in giving it up for Charlene. Woo, Charlene, yes.
Thank you, Navi. Thank you, Navi. Your energy always. I love that you are leading us through tonight. For Desiree, my dear friend, my sister, my twin. One of my first friends in poetry back in 2013. I mean, really, Navi, what you said about these gifts, what Desiree gives us are really, truly gifts. And I'm so honored that I've been asked to share some words to bless this occasion. Thank you, Desiree, for all your labor, seen and unseen, for your friendship, which I know is extended in this book. And I'm so glad that I can reach for you. I already have my the other chapbook with your fiction, so I'm glad that in this other way I get to keep my friends near in this way. So thank you, just for that. I'm going to share one poem and open us up. I know I'm heavy-hearted. Desiree and I talked about today about, holding the joy at the same time that you're holding the pain. And, the news is always the news. So in an effort to go back and reclaim some past, take some things back, this is GimMe the Loot. Grease the geese and give me that good. That gold spider in auntie's mouth, high on the top shelf. That bag of coins, yes, I mean her tongue, cash, loaded, open the registry, open the cell, that door that Lazarus walked through. I want the money making grandma's skin, fat pockets of air to share with the homies, that bread where the rib cage splits like ships from the same port, sternum on lung and lung on beats, that vault, that bank of bone sewn in the traffic of breath and flesh that bodies obey. If I ask, start the car. On everything I'd burn, I expect fools to keep their hands off my sister, brother, cousin, and them. I'm not asking, I'm slipping the Rolex off the wrist of history. This ain't a game. The flux and swerve law of paper states stacks on stacks on stacks in a braid like cane or corn. Cotton, pay me. Every song is about my baby's mama's 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 mama since always and forever in my mouth, all of time, all the eyes watching behind my teeth.
Woo! Come on, Charlene. Listen, are you slipping the Rolex off the wrist of history? Are you? Nah, come on, Charlene. Let's go. Listen, I saw one comment in there that said, read it again, damn it. Listen, run it back. Run it back. Thank you, Charlene. Thank you, Charlene. Thank you so much, Charlene. Listen, kick in the door, wave in the 4-4. That's how this starts. You feel me? What else? What else is there? What else is there? So yes, we clapping it up. We giving the kudos. We giving all the flowers. You already know. Thank you so much for that, Charlene. Wow, amazing. Our next reader coming up is E.G. Asher. E.G. Asher's first book of poetry, Natality. I'm checking for correct. Awesome. Natality was published by Noemi Press in 2017. Asher's writing has received support from the Stadler Center at Bucknell University, the Yiddish Book Center, Asylum Arts, and the Kenyon Review. Asher has taught writing workshops and literature courses at Brown, Bucknell, and NYU, as well as the YIVO. Born in New York, Asher is currently a PhD candidate at NYU. Shout out to Asher, shout out to New York. You know, we got the New York connection going down. And so please join me in giving it up for E.G. Asher. Woo woo!
Thank you, Nabila and Desiree. I am so happy and grateful to be here to celebrate this publication of this book, which I have with me. You were also one of my first friends through poetry, so I'm just so grateful to be here and to celebrate you and your work and these poems. I'll just read one poem, and there's a reference to a line from a book called Sight that was collaboratively written by Lynn Haginian and Leslie Scalapino that comes up in it. Okay. At the end of the seventh sky. 9 months, every day 3 walks under the branches of the tree at the end of the seventh sky. A gift from Mariam, someone else's cells circulating in your body here in the field of the departure mirror, wounded sonorities, someone else's reproach to God, saying, please know me, keep me, please know me, hear me, you whom I love, medieval oaths that remain oaths, no silence but multiple, for I is not I, 7 cycles of 7, oaths as of days, years as of blessings, 7 melodies of the Zohar as of strings of the lyre, each melody a river crossed and recrossed an occupied center. An arm around their lifting belly, Targum bridges from ear to ear. She'll say, I've just come from yesterday. The still wet ground rising up, hold we, us there, as the ocean, a great tear from her rabbinic eye, moves righteously toward us at the beach with breakers. Here in an otherwise lonely year, she reveals the thin sliver of day moon in the shadows, passing through the lens of a stranger's sevenfold eye, something akin to a beautiful use of mess here, ineffable if audible. I accept a greeting at a place I've never seen. Will you be there?
Oh, wow. Oh, so gorgeous. Thank you so much for that, E.G. Asher. Did you say rabbinic eye? I'm sorry, I'm like
I
really,
did!
I'm like holding that. That's wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. Gorgeous, gorgeous work. Whoo, E.G. Y'all, this a reading, I tell no lies, you feel me? I said when you came through, you made a good decision, and we haven't even gotten to Desiree yet, you feel me? Like, listen, I'm gonna get us there quick, you feel me? I'm just gonna read one poem, but I'm really trying not to get too emotional. But Desiree, my sister, I had the incredible blessing of meeting Desiree when I was still a teen, a young one, and just riding trains to Queens, and just really what it meant to meet someone who could understand this place that I came from, for sure, because we went to a place where not a lot of people came from Queens. It was me, Desiree, and Tahira. But also to be able to find this person who also was such a home beyond seas, right? To be able to talk about Trinidad, a place that I didn't know so well, and that Desiree was so generous in always being down to just talk with me, and for us to find solace in all of these places that really traverse borders, and I think it is just such a wonderful occasion that we get to gather for these poems, these incredible works, and to gather in any time in your name, Desiree, is just what a gift to all of us, but especially to be able to gather in the celebration of your hard work, your fastidious eye, your just what a blessing to us, so I'm not going to keep us too long from the bangers, you feel me? So I'm gonna jump into one poem that really makes me think of the place that we walked a lot, Desiree, them Queen streets. And then I will jump into introducing, reading Desiree's bio, you feel me? Okay, so this poem is called Other Uses for Hair. Some weave is stringy horsehair, but mine comes in bundles, straight yaki. My weave flip is a curtain call on a fake nigga. With my sew-in, I hinge on desire, a baddie who badly wants to wear skin that comes from a quadruped, no bipedal. Once I was product and I learned human hierarchy real well, long enough to keep my nigga fed, keep whites alive long enough for me to get my hits in, for them to pay up. Give me the gold I am owed. Give me acres beyond the 40-ounce oozing out my grip. Give me 56 inches of straight yaki, and the purple-robed, sickle-branded hoteps will commiserate over my commissioned crown. Corner boys call me out my name like crazy. Stupid bitch, fat bitch, ugly bitch. I'd cackle at the violence, but I think my nigga really hates me. At least he's mine. I'm still that bitch, draping fresh packs down my back, human, virgin, Malaysian, Brazilian, Peruvian, hair dead before I add it to my dying. Give me bolder body, luscious locks, give me a powdered wig for winter, and I'm almost exchangeable currency again. Gimme, gimme, gimme. I can ask for it real sweet like, or gag you with fake tresses, and yet a need for fresh land slaked my temples. I shaved my scalp to build a new flag, but when we fuck, my nigga rubs my bare head and still pictures stars, bars. Okay, moving on, moving forward. Okay, so I have the incredible, light-filled pleasure and honor to introduce Desiree C. Bailey. Desiree C. Bailey is the author of What Noise Against the Cane, woo woo! Yale University Press 2021, winner of the 2020 Yale Series of Younger Poets Prize. She is also the author of the fiction chapbook In Dirt or Saltwater, O'Clock Press 2016, and has short stories and poems published in Best American Poetry, Best New Poets, American Short Fiction, Callaloo, the Academy of American Poets, and elsewhere. Desiree has a BA from Georgetown University, an MFA in fiction from Brown University, and is an MFA poetry candidate at NYU. She has received fellowships from the Norman Mailer Center, Kimbilio Fiction, Callaloo Creative Writing Workshop, Poets House, The Conversation, and Princeton in Africa. She has received awards from the New York State Council on the Arts, New York Foundation for the Arts, and Poets and Writers. Hey, gang, gang. Desiree was born in Trinidad and Tobago and grew up in Queens, New York. She is currently an English teacher in Brooklyn, New York. Please, with me, give it up for Desiree C. Bailey. Woo!
Wow. Thank you, Nabi. Thank you. See, I always know Nabi is going to bring the energy and the hype and just everything that I need in this moment. Thank you so much. Thank you, Charlene. Thank you, EG. Thank you, Books Are Magic. There's so many people to thank: Yale, Carl Phillips, my family, just everybody. And so I'm just really happy and excited in this moment. This chat is giving me so much life, especially in this time, in this time of pandemic, in this time when we are constantly negotiating the various griefs that we are moving through, and that we don't even get a chance to really recover from, right? Before the next thing happens. It feels so good to be surrounded by community in this way. We always make a way to find each other. And so I'm just really grateful. I'm really thankful for everyone who is here, for everyone who has showed up and who has supported this work and who has supported me. I see that there are people everywhere. Family from Trinidad I hear in the chat, like NYU people. It's just amazing. So thank you so much. I'm just gonna show the book. It's here. It's here, right? And so I will just get into the reading. And so the first half of this book takes place, I would say, on the cusp of the Haitian Revolution, and it is also in reverence to the ocean, to the sea, in reverence to our ancestors and the sacrifices that they have made, and also just thinking about how their spirit carries on in us today, right?
And so that is a long poem that I will read a few poems from, and it's called Chant for the Waters and Dirt and Blade. I am I, but I won't spill my name. Not here on this damned rock pushed out bloody from the bowels of the sea. Marketplace Island where the clouds crest and birdsong all for sale. Profits of my black, my stewed puss on the plate in the belly of my captor. What am I? What dare I? Grieves up to quiet the squeak, a howl camouflage destined to burst forth, murderous as a wave. Meet today, tomorrow cup to my inheritance of rage. My name soldiers up like bile, but I dare not allow it. Swallow it, bury it down with the other human parts of me. I, husk of girl orphan at the ocean's distant edge, before ship, before humid choke of hull, before trade winds splintering me off into the world's directions, a girl, and I, unbroken and spotless, smooth as obsidian's kiss. Until I can eat what my hands have made, I am a castaway, a hound tied up, skin gnawed down, gleam of bone in the arrowed sun. What kind of life we do and do till clear, dig, grind, months, years measured by cane. Melody of home, a ruthless drift, a song that doesn't return. I dream the sea scabbed over, a hush across her blue-black lips, the scaled mother below circling, swimming the wound, the scaled mother hurling her body against the crust of hurt, pickaxe of tail and spine until there an opening. Oh, my forgetful singed love, our sea is not, can never be the wound. We shadows beneath shadows, stone interred in stone. I, somebody, I, daughter of seagrass. I don't always remember when the whole flings its dirt against the coming dark. My hands, my womb, whittled to a tool. To build what? A white man's skull temple, his leaning empire of ash and bone, his coffee, his cane arrows towards the death of everything, the land chewed up, the skin forest, his god within the vulture's jaw, the island made into a wicked stain, a lump in the throat of my mother. But if not here, then where? Crude shadow of home, my blood, my grief glistens the soil, the land and me stubborn kin. The land made me a new being forged of a greedy flame. My blood already here, my God's breathing in the hills, in the slow tilt of evening. My God stir me into a battle song, my muck, my cane, my muddy island, my life, my death, my cliffs, my body's bloom. They will say miracle when what they mean is thirst, tongue jettying, awaiting runaway fists of rain. Miracle when what they mean is war song learned by limb before the capture, sweet mixing of herb before the capture, soldier's head knotted with coordinates, strategy of flame, the haunt, the memory of how the bird taunts the river with its wing, and a sweet free thrust in a moon-drunk room, juices seeping into mattress, into coconut fiber fermenting. Miracle of breath and blood, miracle of a haunting. Freedom never forgets where it once roamed, stalks me till I can't sleep for want of the sea, till poison floats like a fly in the tea. Freedom, ruthless siren, hurl and shriek, louder than a dream. What smoke? What threadbare cry? What child strung between? What architect of light? What leaf for the wound? What mountain and scar? What keloid, what mother, what sweat in the eye, what sojourning soul, what thrust in the dark, what hole, what belly, what babe without breath, what route to the hills, what dance, what drumbeat to call, what freedom, what body, what precipice of hope, what danger, what master, what whalebone, what poison meat, what pillage fuel, what noise chafing against the cane, what blaze, what sky, what name to call myself. And so I'm gonna take a minute to just sit in the moment of that. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you. Thank you. And so if you have this book, you will notice that there is a line of text running along the bottom of the entire text. And I don't want to say too much about it, except that it is the way that I think that the sea would speak and would sound, and she would be sexy and bodacious and also compassionate, but also filled with rage and really filled with freedom. And so I will read a little bit of that. Crow does fly high, but when he come down, ants does eat out he eye. And the breeze keep on blowing like she never even know crow name. And the ants love meat when it's sweetened by a great fall. Hear how the rain make music in the bones. Hear how she drum on the remains before washing it into my wide, wet mouth, my body spread out, squeezing the coast like a jammet. Yes, I's a jammet, I'm a chin up high, drink and be drunk, drink and drunk, sinking down in my boneyard. But you have to come correct when it comes to me. You have to touch me, praise me, treat me like a queen. So bring the duck, the white roses, white wine and honey. Sweeten up my pum-pum, make my belly feel good. I hear doing me, flowing how others always flow. But everybody does want to do what they want with me. Say that Ivy, Maya, and Mizuchi, and how Venus shell out herself from me. Say my body is all kind of king and beast. Even Miss Ting, Miss Poet, who thinks she writing me here, give me this voice like a voice that she's afraid to forget. Syntax cut up and ring up with Shadow Benny and Congo Pepper. So I go take the voice and make it sing, make it raw like I hit in the peak of my pleasure. But oh God, that child is worried, that poet, the sun and sun, she mind washed and a wave. The sea, the sea. By the way, I went to the sea, to the ocean just the other day, and I saw dolphins. I was like, dolphins in Queens? What? So I'm taking that energy and that joy of seeing those dolphins into this moment here. And so now I'm going to read from the second half of the book, which is really just set in contemporary times, follows my voice. And I'm checking the time here, but I think I will just read what I feel here. Guesswork. True, there's no homeland, just my vain feet wandering the shore, marring paradise. Regretful inconvenience I am, smudged in the eye of a tourist camera. Vagrant is what I learned to call the man with snarl of sky for a roof. And how now that word turns inward, taking roots within the spleen. I am not lost, or am I? Light a white candle, says a friend, his pupils storming within mine. Neighbor it to a glass of water, flame and water to uncover a path, to greet the ones who walked moons before, damn near atheist on so many days, but I touch the flame to the wick and my head is light, light, it's lifting, diaspora and daughter, raking the soil for a map, a glint of my mama's gold, a bone to call my own. See me, saga gal and kente pum pum shorts, thigh shade buttered, Fulani hoops twisting a secret beside my face. I fix my mouth to say black girl. I twist my tongue to say magic. Yet when the day turns, I scorn this empty-bellied scavenging. The traditions fumbled and swirl to mud. I want to say I am from nowhere and everywhere, but that feels coy, like I'm lifting my skirt for the empire's gaze. Even if it is true, on my papers and certificates, there's a country and another country. I can reach beyond, trace the soil through a strand of hair or swab of cheek. But what after? Forever of lineage riven and ruptured. So I search only because I can, and sometimes I exist more and more each day, a brown cotton doll stuffed and stitching the X for her own inadequate eye. This next poem is called Extra Virgin Olive Oil, based on a painting by Walter Price that I saw some years ago. And when I looked at it, I thought one thing was happening and then realized that something else is going on. And so hopefully you'll catch that there. Look once, and it's her fingers that pull you in, the absence of them, how they disappeared within her, splitting her body like reeds at the river's lips. Bantu knotted American queen pedestal at the top of the canvas, spill of red paint, blue drip of stars pooling the foot of the nation. Look again, not a cliff, but a book that occupies the hand. And you smile at how easy it is to mistake one pleasure for another, membrane for membrane, twin yearnings for the flesh bits of knowledge. For after all, to know is to let the sweet waters run down, down the slope, the purple mountains. Stare until the painting becomes a mirror, until you are 16 again in your room with Jimi Hendrix plastered on the wall like a saint. You are clutching a book, blotting the ink with your sweaty palms, shoving the words into your mouth, practicing, repeating, drilling an American accent, sloughing the salt water off your tongue, speaking yourself into disappearance. And you would have disappeared were it not for the pussy's pages, how turning them lit the tunnel into yourself, to the books that could only be read in salt and seaweed, and the touch that made you crave your own dark scent, what tiny stars you are spilling. And I will read two more poems. This one is called Woman in Dub, and it is written after Lee Scratch Perry's and Max Romeo's song Chase the Devil. The devil I see is the one I saw and nail out of fears, out of cycles of wounds, dread calcifying into prophecy. I put on an iron shirt to face it, chase it, but the cops still piss drunk with power. I put on an iron shirt, but the men on the street surveil the nipple. Been hounding my punani since I spilled my first blood. What a menace of a body. I hurl blame to the husk. Is the devil real, or is it of my fantastical making? The answer is not the matter. The fact of paranoia be the true violence, warfare, the very presence of the question. I want to peer inward, to take a good look at the sound system, my heartbeat echoing out of my folkloric thirst, my desperate belief in other realities, a B-side where I'm abolished from emotional labor, aka Black woman's burden, free to surrender to my own madness, to sink down into the dub of it, stripped of my first voice, reverbing outside the pain of a body stripped of my first voice, down in the dub, cop hounds my blood into paranoia, a black reality, cycle spilled, power husk, emotional woman, iron, real street, folkloric and mad, true. Take a good look at the devil, peer into the dread. Men surrender to wound, drunk, calcified, but I, fantastic, chasing echoes, nailed to system, free in sound, I, a fact, answer of my own making. And the last poem that I will read is also the last poem of this book. It's called Chant for the Waters and Dirt and Blade, Flight Return. A memory of the cemetery flooded with the murmur of the living, the candles, small fires, nesting on the graves. My grandfather and we, his thin-limbed offspring, every year in the humid dark, each All Saints Day, the mosquitoes rising from the grasses to feed. Every year we light, we pray that our dead will not forget the chants below our skins. The scent of melting wax will always call forth the memory of our dead, the unheard footfalls, the bodiless rustling through the dasheen leaves. On this Hallows Eve, I am listening to the sound, to the cars sounding their grievances on Flatbush Avenue, while hemming words in my apartment, wishing that I could wake up tomorrow in my first country to visit what remains of my grandfather, to go to him, to the cemetery of his mother, his father, and the wax riding the damp air, its fragrance winding beyond the dark palm print of a bacano tree. Who, what, how do I believe? My worship colonized, my gods painted in a foreign face, my grief song milked in the raised woods, sipped off most wanted commodity. I stuff my ears against the old spirit's call, fearful of the way the past speaks to me. I cling to cold reason, but find empire's grasp, especially there. I believe in what makes me free. I believe in the red hot flowers crowning the head of the flamboyant tree. I believe in nutmeg ground down for cassava pone and the hands, the firm singing hands that push its measurements through the decades. My goddess is the wave unsheathing, my name strung through the conch contralto. Where will we live? I ask my ocean-torn love. Where will we raise our children if my fibroid womb will allow? We of many soils, we who know the curse is the blessing is the curse. We of many and no homes, we who destroy and build, who send our love haunts along the current. Whether quick clapping of hands or hymns of lambs and mercy or fistful of cowrie thrown across a mat or psalms to tread the lion and the cobra or symbols drawn in cornmeal guarded throughout the brutal passage. I fear that I will never be fully at home, that the very first leaving cracked the skull of my belonging, that when I eventually stop moving, I won't understand the land's grieved tongue. I brown the sugar in the heavy bottom pot to fill up every space, to remind myself of language. I belong to the foam that singes the sand where I was thrown to the waves just weeks into the world, my eyes widening to limestone cliffs, to see almonds ripening upon the shore. My hands are the scarlet ibises, soaring the salt-washed dawn, cleaving the sky open like a blade. Thank you all so much. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for being with us in this time and tonight. Thank you.
Wow, 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 Desiree.
Girl, if you could hear these I was making. No.
I'm like, I know my neighbors be tight because I'm just, what? All kinds of loud, all kinds. Oh my goodness. Desiree, come on now.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, man.
Wow. This is a book.
Yes.
Again, if you don't have it, what else is there to say? What else is there to say? Like, oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Desiree. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Time hopping, you know what I mean? Come on. Come on. Because we already know what doesn't exist, linear time. Yeah, just I want to give us all a minute, give us all a second, a few breaths, you know? Thank you so much, Desiree, you know? And I feel like, you know, I know that we are in many places, but this space here, you know, those poems that you read for us created a space here, you know, and it kind of does bring me to one of the questions that I have for you, which is like, you know, who was with you in this writing process? You know, who were you writing with and among, you know? And I feel like that can, you know, mean in so many ways, but I feel like your poems, you know, thinking about Harriet Jacobs, thinking about the ways that the sea is even thinking about who we don't know of, right? Like really feeling the spirit in this space and thinking about who you were writing these poems with.
Wow, thank you so much, Nabi. Thank you for that question. And so, you know, I'm thinking about this question and my mind is going in so many places because there are the literal people that I was in workshops with, right? Charlene, EG, so many people to name, both at Brown, at NYU, in the Cave Canem workshops in New York, um, so you know, there is that very real community there. And I think also I think I was writing these poems also to connect as someone who moved from Trinidad to New York at an early age, right? And of course always going back and forth visiting and living in Caribbean communities here in New York as well. I think I think I was writing these poems with my people, with my family in mind, um, with with family members who have passed, right? I think you have heard a lot of that in the poems, reverence for the people who came before me and who made very real sacrifices um, for themselves, also for their future, for the people who would come in their lineage, and for people who maybe they couldn't even imagine as yet. And so I'm always thinking of that and thinking of them as I am writing these poems, and certainly with this book. And also, I think I was writing clearly with nature as well, with the sea, with the various ways that we think about the sea, whether that's in an ecological way, whether that's in a spiritual way, scientific way. And so I wanted to bring that celebration of the sea and that awe of the sea into these poems, especially since as a child, the sea was very much there for me. My father made sure of that. And so I wanted that to be reflected in these poems. And that's something that I hope that we can all feel, that that all of these communities are in this book.
Yeah, yeah. Ooh, absolutely, absolutely. Um, really love to think about the sea. The sea is with me, right? Like the sea was there for me. I feel like you can really feel that. There's such movement in these poems. There's, something I was thinking about in being able to come and, gather in the name of this book is the verb of it. It feels very much like a book that is doing, that is moving, that is, in practice of an action. And yeah, I'm just so astounded by how these poems are doing that. Well, I guess I'm wondering in the crafting of the poems, if there was like any movement centered things that were happening in your own life, or how you were thinking about movement in the crafting of these poems.
Oh my God, I love this question
Yeah.
because first of all, Nabi, you're asking me the question, but you already know the answer. So there's always movement involved in my work, just in my life. If I'm not moving, I know that that's something not too right. And so when making these poems, I absolutely was thinking a lot about music, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially the music that I heard growing up. And so I was listening to a lot of soca, a lot of calypso, a lot of everything, honestly, when I was writing this book, and often dancing. But also, especially when I was working on the longer poem. And of course, I would work on that off and on, and write different poems at different times. But I felt like it was necessary to find a way to incorporate dance into the writing of these poems. And so this this long poem required a lot of reading, a lot of research, and it was incredibly harrowing, as you can imagine. Yes, we think about revolution as something, I think oftentimes we think about it in its aftermath, right? Something that is celebratory, that we can be proud of, but also it was really tough to read about the conditions that our enslaved ancestors lived under, and in this particular context, in what in the colony that became Haiti. And so that was really tough, actually, on the spirit. And I said, I need to have another way to think about research, a more embodied way, especially if I am trying to think about, these people who were under these conditions in a very embodied, lived way, to think about them in all of their humanity and all of their agency. I need to also do that and to bring that understanding to these poems. And so I actually started taking Haitian folkloric dance classes at at Kumbe Dance Center in Brooklyn, in Bed-Stuy, right? And those classes were really instrumental, not only to the research, but I guess understanding history through the body, and understanding how these stories have been passed on and how we continue to tell them through dance. And actually, yeah, I consider that a part of the research for the writing of these poems, and also something that really held me, that was a great comfort to me while dealing with such difficult material.
Yeah. Whoo, come on, Desiree. Absolutely. Like understanding history through the body, that embodiment, and thinking so much of how the body is like the technology that we can all share, right? Like, what an incredible, incredible process. Thank you so much for bringing us into that. Oh, wow. And then there is one question from the audience I see here that, if it's okay, I would like to throw it in.
Throw it in.
Yes. Okay, so this is from J.R. Mahung. I think this is probably, we'll probably only have time for this one. But they said, thank you so much for your reading. I believe you began one of your poems with "True, there's no homeland," which troubles your speaker's relationship to land and place. But there are moments where your speaker expresses themselves through the land, where the land and the weather is almost an extension of the speaker. What were some of your considerations in the ways your writing articulates your speaker's relationships to land and place?
Thank you for that question. I feel like I'm still, I have to like absorb it. That was a beautiful question. And I love that you notice that there are these fluctuations and there are these different ways of thinking about the relationship to the land. Because I think within these poems, I really wanted to come to them from a place of honesty and from a place of questioning, and that includes that shifting relationship. And in these poems, so of course there is a reverence for the land, there's a celebration for what nature can do, but there's also, I think, what was heavy on my spirit and still is the way that the land, that the environment has been really abused and continues to be abused. And so when thinking about a lot of these poems, I kept thinking about the relationship of the body and the land, and especially, the lives and bodies of oppressed peoples, especially Black people, especially people in the Caribbean, especially Black people in this country. But I really kept thinking about our relationship to the land. I was also thinking about Indigenous peoples, and not specifically in the Caribbean context, but I think that was the framework that I was approaching it through. And I think I'm still thinking about this question because it's one that I'm still working through, really. But I wanted to really just express that connection there, and how often what happens to us is what's happening to the land and vice versa, but also how people who are oppressed are often left out of conversations about the land and about the environment, and we're often treated as if we don't know anything about this, and and that we're also, we're not being resourceful, and so that's a whole other, I don't know, is it another conversation? It's here, right?
Yeah.
But these are the different things that I've been thinking about, and that I'm still thinking about.
Yes. Whoo. Yes, Desiree. Is it a different conversation? Really appreciate that. Wow, thank you so much, and thank you again for that question, J.R. Mahung. Yeah, they just hit something in the chat. Oh yeah, everybody could see it, but I almost felt the impetus to read it out. But I'll offer it up. J.R. Mahung said, "Thank you so much for your response. I am Afro-Indigenous family from the Caribbean, and it means a lot to have had my people and our histories considered." Come on. Yeah. Important work, Desiree.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Whew. So we're at 6:56. Books are magic. How we doing?
I think we have time for one more question.
Awesome. Would you like me to field that, Serena? Or, yep, I can do it. Okay. I was like, no problem.
Okay, I muted, sorry.
No worries. All
good.
All good. Okay, so there was one other question that came up that asked, what was the editing process like for the book?
Woo! What was the editing process like? If I can be honest, it was really difficult because at that time, there was a lot happening. It was, the beginning of the pandemic, and also, uh, it was a summer of protests and of a lot of difficult things that were happening at that time, both out in the world, also internally as well within myself.
Mhm.
And I realize now as I'm speaking that all of that came into the editing process. And so I think I really had to give up as much as I could, give up a sense of perfection, although, that's debatable how much I've given that up. But I really had to kind of see what was necessary there. But aside from that, I mean, I've been working on so many of these poems, I mean, really across, a few years. And so, so what I just spoke about was the process for putting the book together. But I also, spent time with these individual poems as well over a long period of time. And so honestly, the editing process was time. It was just time. I think so many of these poems, I wrote them and I just let them sit. And and so I also didn't really send out a lot of work too, especially during the writing of the long poem, just because I really wanted to have more of a sense of the entire work and where it was going before I started to send that out. Yeah, so that editing process looked like so many different things, I think, for this book.